Is there an intro or?
No, the intro is you and I right now, and we are live. We're just jumping
Hey,
right into it. Well, good afternoon or good morning or wherever you are, everyone.
hey.
This is Robert Phoenix, and you're tuned into the Friday FARcast. And we have Alex of Crypto K. He's back with us. I think this is your third time on the show. Is that right?
Sounds about right. I think.
Yeah, yeah. So, if you're not familiar with Alex's work, I'm not even sure where to begin. Let's just say Stanley Kubrick as kind of the taproot of everything, and Alex works with the magic of numbers when it comes to Kubrick and a lot of other things that are Kubrick tangential. So a couple weeks ago, of course, we had the passing of Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne, as well as Chuck Mangione and also Malcolm Jamal Warner. But of the two of those four figures, it seemed like when I was going onto your feed, you just kept coming up with like Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne numeric syncs. So we're going to retrograde a little bit and revisit that.
Cool.
We've also got the Lionsgate, which is today, and Alex had this pinned on his calendar. So we're going to talk about the Lionsgate as well, and whatever comes up along the way in terms of how we do this. We freewheel a lot, but Alex's numbers drive this thing in a really big way. Before we jump into this, um, where was I? I was on. Was it on your feed? It might have been on your feed. Maybe you can clarify this, but it has something to do with Kubrick. Oh, there's a couple things about Kubrick that I wanted to ask you about, but it had to do with not just Kubrick and time, but it was like it was weird. It was like Kubrick and time and like dust. You know, dust being the sort of the accrual of just desiccated flesh and like occupying this interesting space where it's not it's hard to explain. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that quote?
No, I don't. I'm not really sure what you're talking about exactly.
Yeah, I'll try and resurrect it. Anyway, I thought it was pretty interesting and profound. It was like it wasn't just like the body of this esoterica of Kubrick's work, but it was something even beyond that. It was sort of like taking in this idea. Like you've talked about Kubrick as Time Lord, right?
hmm hmm
This quote was like Kubrick as time,
Hmm. Hmm.
and anyway, if I
The
can
mind
find
of
it,
Saturn, or I don't know.
if I can find it, I'll try to resurrect it. But
Yeah,
anyway, it's good to have you back on. And why don't
good to
we
be here.
why don't we before we get going, go and look in the past. Uh, I just put in a link to Alex's Substack. So it's Cryptocubrology. If you want to support his work, you can do that. Alex has been really focused on writing, and his best mate and partner, who really got him into this world, passed away. How long has it been?
It's been exactly 3 months now.
3 months.
Yeah, May 8th. He
So,
died the same day as the new pope was selected,
oh
and they
wow,
were both named Robert. They're both, so there was a lot of crazy things went down. But yeah,
interesting,
in 3 months.
interesting. So he's on a mission. He being Alex is
Hmm.
on a mission now to complete this work. So you can go over to Substack, check it out,
Just getting
subscribe,
started.
get started. Yeah, that way you can feel like you want to participate in this project. There you go.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah, you're welcome, man. All right, so let's go back in terms of these passings. So we have Ozzy passing the day before Kubrick's birthday and Hulk Hogan afterwards. Is that right?
If I remember, I'm gonna scroll back in my timeline here. If I remember correctly, not quite. It was because every year I pay close attention to July 23rd because it's 7/23, chiefly that, and 23/7 being the kind of queen of our 5 number set. And so I was looking for July 23rd, and then what happened was Ozzy Osbourne died on the day before that, July 22nd, and then Hulk Hogan died the day after that on July
So
24th.
it's like I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so a parent thesis, or what Sean came up with, the idea of like creating these sort of hieroglyphs in time where you take 2 points in time and then find the exact midpoint between them based on on a ruler of these numerical these 5 numbers, and that creates a sync that you can study and classify and compare to others in a kind of scientific manner. So I'm just sort of constantly watching the days, and things like that to sort of see what's going on, and then I'll see a day if it's upcoming for an interesting reason. I'll circle it to say, okay, something might happen on this day. I don't know. I don't ever really know what is going to happen, but sometimes I get pretty close. So anyway, I was following along, and it all centered around July 23rd. So that's what was really kind of interesting to me. And of course, what I do when people die is I find their life midpoints. And this is something I'm gonna have to go back and sort of, if you have any thoughts, you can jump in there, because like Hogan's midpoint and Ozzy's midpoint were very interestingly related, if you want to hear about it.
Yeah, let's go, man. Let's go break
Okay,
it down.
so Ozzy died July 22nd, and his midpoint came to, I'll just try to say this factually, February 28th, 1987. And so I start looking at that day, and you kind of have to, usually I look at the day after, the day before as a kind of +1, -1
Right.
fudging thing. But anyway, the things that happened on these first thing I found was the death of Maria von Trapp, who was
Sound of
the
Music, right?
Sound of Music
Yeah.
matriarch, which is interesting because I mean Ozzy Osbourne is music patriarch almost. And then after that, the day after that was WrestleMania 3, when Hulk slammed Andre the Giant. If you're not aware of that, are you familiar with that, Robert?
Yes, I've heard of it, but I'm not
It's
like yeah.
okay. This is one of the like iconic moments in professional wrestling history. Hulk Hogan's career, honestly, it's the one of the top 2 or 3 moments of Hulk Hogan's career. WrestleMania 3, when he was wrestling Andre the Giant in the Pontiac Silverdome in front of supposedly 93,000 people. That's what they tell them. That wasn't true, but they wanted to get that number out there for some reason. And he picks up Andre the Giant, slams him, wins, and it's like this huge moment. And so that happened on the exact midpoint of Ozzy Osbourne's life. And then 2 days later, after Ozzy Osbourne dies, Hulk Hogan dies.
Right.
So just that alone, I thought was an amazing.
That is pretty wild because a lot of people who don't follow wrestling don't know how giant Andre the Giant was.
Yeah. Oh, he was truly giant. Yeah.
So,
In both physically and like his aura, like
yeah, I mean, the
even if
guy
he
was
wasn't the giant, he seemed like it.
he was legendary, and for him to body slam him like that, that's like I don't know, that's like Babe Ruth pointing his bat out to center field,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And
Grand
so
slam.
I'm gonna hit this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's wrestling. The professional thing is very ritualistic. It's in the squared circle. It's black versus white, good versus evil. It's total mind theatrics for the common man. And so, I mean, WrestleMania 3, what else was I going to be saying? I mean, there's wrestling constantly comes up for me when I'm doing these date things because it's something that's always happening. It's like constantly, there's no off season. So every week there's a wrestling show, and often there's these big ones that coincide with these massive sort of occult rituals. And there's a great, I don't, I feel like I'm just going to be rambling this whole time.
Ramble on, man. This is ramble on.
Um, there's a great video a guy named Kevin Halcott from the Sync book made years ago about, it was like a compilation of 9/11 syncs in pro wrestling, and particularly with uh, Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. They were in a tag team called the Mega Powers, and they were wrestling a tag team called the Twin Towers. And basically, the whole promo was like, we're gonna smash the Twin Towers and they're gonna collapse and come crashing down. And then even I think in one of them, Savage says, I'm gonna spin around 42 times as those Twin Towers come crashing down. And this is 12, 15 years before 9/11, and it's just like,
Right.
this guy's a lightning rod. This is just totally unconsciously channeling the heavens. And so I don't know.
That's wild, man. That's really, really wild.
Hulk Hogan, yeah. Okay, I guess I could talk a little bit more about Hulk Hogan
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I mean
Let's go, Hulkster.
he's the biggest professional wrestler of all time. Actually, it's more than that though. One of my favorite guys is the name Dave Meltzer. He's a journalist. He's a totally straight wrestling journalist, but he said he's the most famous pro wrestler who ever lived, and more people paid to see him perform over the course of his career than any other person. So like I think that's true. I mean, that's intense.
That's amazing. I mean, if you think about it, that's an amazing
Yeah.
statistic, and one that I don't think is. I think that there's some validity to it because they play these really huge halls, and
Yeah.
the tickets for wrestling are not super expensive.
No, it's a
Right.
very blue collar industry. It's
They
really,
want people to get in and buy
at
all
least it
the
used to
merch
be.
and shit. Yeah.
Um, what the hell was I gonna say just now?
So I could see that. Like, I think it was like more than the Beatles or whoever.
Yeah, and the other thing is that his a lot of the times it's a flash in the pan. A wrestler gets hot for a couple years, but he was on top. He was huge for like multiple periods over multiple decades. So like in the 80s, he had a 5-year period of the biggest thing in the world. And then in the 90s, he did it again. And then in the 2000s, he did it a little bit more. So it was just that consistency over a long period of time. And so, okay, I guess the thing to talk about, his name, Hulk Hogan, his stage name, HH, 8-8.
88, yeah.
So, and here we are today on 8-8 and talking about his death, which I want to check how long ago was it actually? 24, 35 to 88, 25. Okay, 15 days. What about Ozzy? That's 18. Yeah, well, 6 plus 6 plus 6 days since Ozzy died. So Hulk Hogan and the HH thing, that ties it into like Back to the Future and time travel because of the 88 miles per hour thing. And Hulk Hogan actually, he was in a movie called Suburban Commando with both Christopher Lloyd, who is the Doc Brown time traveling guy,
Right.
and Shelley Duvall, who's
Wow.
from The Shining,
From The Shining, yeah.
and everything else. And so this guy was just a lightning rod of something.
So,
Yeah.
so okay, we go from HH, and isn't there somebody named Triple H now?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is a guy named Triple H. He's basically in charge of the whole company now. Well, not the whole company, but he's like the main creative figure, Triple H. So HHH, which I'm not sure what to make of that exactly, but it's definitely funny. I mean, there's a 8 gets, the bad rap for being about like a Hitler reference for
Right. Yeah.
people, and I've never known what to make of this because obviously it is, but like there's more than that too here. Because it's
It's double
weird.
infinity, right? Eight, you have well, first of all, the number eight
Humbert,
is,
Humbert, yeah.
yeah, Humbert, right? There's your Kubrick reference. Eight is the number of the strength card in the major arcana, which is the virgin who subdues the lion, right, with innocence and purity and no guile. But the lion is connected to the strength card, right? So yeah, that's also, and of course Leo is the eighth month as well. So
Right.
it's an interesting.
And I
So
mean, nobody
eight's a really
embodies
powerful number,
strength.
man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
as above, so below. It's infinity,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? And then you go to the next number, which would be I would be nine, right? And so
Mhm.
nine's a whole different. It's a whole different vibration.
8, yeah, an 888 is half of 1776. So
Oh, interesting.
it's definitely like a thing that 888 week intervals or something I look at like regularly. And even actually, I'm in the middle of writing a sort of a Substack piece trying to summarize all this stuff that's been going on this summer. And um, sort of, it started with Trump's birthday earlier in the year, No King's Day, they called it,
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's also Flag Day
Flag Day.
because he's born. That's why he loves flags. He's born on Flag Day.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He's such a well. Anyway, yeah. So No King's Day, I had that one circled because of the Hitler connection, which he was going to be exact. Hitler would have been exactly 1776 times 4 weeks old on 6/14. In other words, he would have been 888 times 8 weeks old. 888 times 8.
And that's on No King's Day.
That was on No King's Day,
Wow.
and then incredibly, King Charles, the King of England, on No
Yeah.
King's Day was 666 times 6 weeks old.
Wow.
So,
Wow. That's
um,
crazy. And
yeah,
Hitler, of course, begins with an H.
absolutely. I mean, Heil Hitler, that's the whole oops,
HH.
not that, but so so I had okay, so looking at that, I had also looked ahead towards because I'm sorry if there's too many numbers here, but um it was 1776 times 4 weeks of Hitler's since Hitler's birth. But then 6 weeks or 42 days ahead of that would have been 7,110 weeks, which is 2,370 times 3.
Oh god. Now you're
I'm
getting
sorry.
anywhere. That's okay. It's good. But I can follow you, but keep going.
That's all really. But that so the point of that was that I had associated No King's Day with Kubrick's up with with this other day 42 weeks later, which was 726, Kubrick's birthday,
Right.
which was again 2,370 times 3 weeks since Hitler was born. And then incredibly, the middle of those 42 days was July 5th of this year, which, if you remember, was the day Ozzy Osbourne held that final concert.
Right. Yep.
And how old was Ozzy on that day? Just like King Charles, he was exactly 666 times 6 weeks old
Wow.
for that concert.
Wow.
And then he dies something like, I don't know, a few weeks later. So, okay, sorry for all those numbers, but
No,
I
no,
hope
no.
that it
It's
kind of
good.
got there to like see why I'm so sort of like there's something going on here. Well, this is what I've been really kind of calling it. You know how people say history rhymes, history often rhymes. And I'm like, well, yeah, but rhyme is a function of poetry,
Yeah.
literature.
Yeah.
So there are other functions. One of them is meter of
I was
poetry.
going to say meter.
Exactly. So this
Yeah.
is like history. Not only does history rhyme, history has a meter and things. There's like a set sort of rhythm, and it sort of seems to be based on these numbers somehow.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm just. That's the sort of central point of my work, and just trying to figure this out. But and so everyone that all these ongoing things that pile up, these deaths are just more and more like data to
Right.
sort of prove what's going on. And so today, the whole reason I had today circled was because I was looking into the actor Denzel Washington, and um, I don't exactly know how I got onto it, but I started watching some Denzel Washington movies, and I looked at his birthday, and I realized his that we're coming up on a big day for him, which is the K Day, which I've told you about before, which is the day at which a person reaches the age Kubrick was when he died. And so for Donald Trump, that was his first Monday in office as president. In 2017 was his K Day, and there's other
He did kind of die that day, didn't he?
kind of
Yeah.
you could say that. So what I found was that today, 8/8, is Denzel Washington's K Day, and why? And then so Denzel Washington is kind of an interesting. I mean, he's a great actor, obviously.
He's a Capricorn.
He's a Capricorn, yeah,
That's his birth sign. And
that's right.
he is a very interesting character. Uh, do you know what do you know what his first movie was?
I've looked at it, but I don't remember.
I always forget the name of it because it's such a stupid name, but the movie itself is almost embarrassing. And let me see if I can pull it up here.
First ones usually are.
Yeah, it's with George Siegel, and he George Siegel finds out that
Oh, it's the Carbon Copy?
yeah,
I
that
haven't seen this.
Denzel Washington is his son, right?
Yes. I should
So
probably watch this because this is exactly the kind of thing that interests me, like, to see, like, where these guys start and to see how it all begins and the things that get laid out in these roles before they become, um, you know, themselves.
by this time, Siegel's starting to kind of age out, right? Right, but here it
Uh-huh.
is. This is on IMDb. So it airs in
Yeah.
1981,
Yes.
and
Notice it's written by a Stanley, a double S, Stanley
Stanley
Shapiro.
Shapiro. Yeah,
And, I'll note that, it's the character's name is Walter Whitney, so it's a
the WW.
WW like a Willy Wonka, which I've written a whole series about.
Even
And
and even and
Denzel
even
Washington, he's a W too.
right, and even Carbon Copy, right?
Carbon Copy 3.
Carbon. Is that weird? It's like he's carbon. You know,
Yeah,
he's like it's just weird. It's just this weird fucking.
yes.
Uh,
Um,
who else? So you have Dick Martin from Ronan Martin. He's in there. Susan St. James, who played Rock Hudson's wife on Macmillan and Company.
cool.
Paul Winfield, who is actually a really great actor.
Parlay Bear? Is that the guy's name?
Harley Bear, Doc plays Dr. Bristol.
That's a name.
Yep. And then, of course, the great Jack Warden. I'm just trying to find out when they released this movie.
Oh, it's, if at the top under the 1981,
Let's see.
August 6th, actually. So we're very close to the
Isn't that weird?
yeah.
So let's see.
44, it's actually 44 years since it came out. Half of
44
'88.
years. Interesting.
So all right, so I can. You know what I should do? Since you're pulling stuff up, I'm gonna send you this on a link to my tweet about this. Because this is sort of what I found the amazing thing about today and Denzel Washington. Is I watched the movie Flight with Denzel Washington, which is directed by Robert Zemeckis. Zemeckis being the Back to the Future guy.
Right.
So, yeah, I watched Zemeckis direct Flight and basically he's a pilot who is an alcoholic who saves a plane from crashing. Essentially, an emergency landing, saves a bunch of people, even though he's totally plastered. And the whole rest of the movie is like basically him being tried or whatever for his anyway. But there's some syncs with it because the model of the plane, which is fake, is JR-88. And what I discovered was that this movie came out exactly 666 weeks before today, Washington's K-Day. So I'm sorry I'm not being very articulate with this, but
No, interesting. This is good.
Yeah, so if you think about The Shining, right? It's all about alcoholism. It's about Jack getting the spirits in him
Right.
and losing it. This is a similar story about a guy who's getting that booze in him, but it sort of like saves him in the way, like it's his superpower almost. So if you scroll down to the next tweet, this whole flight, the script is based on a real plane crash where the pilot made this crazy maneuver to attempt to save it. In real life, it failed, but it was a good attempt, I guess, and they gave him these very honors in death. But in the movie, they portray it as working out. But if you look into the real flight, Alaska Airlines 261, the crash killed everyone on board. How many people died? 88 people.
Wow.
When did it happen? Almost exactly 666 weeks before Flight released.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And I say, what the fuck, Bob? Like, I want to Zemeckis, like,
fuck,
show
Bob?
him this. Like, what the
Yeah, that's
did
right.
you do?
Because he's also way in on it with Back to the Future.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and everything else. I mean, the walk, the one about the Twin Towers, and I got all the movies that you watch of his, and they're very loaded with this kind of symbolism. But the whole like the 666 weeks, 88 people dying, and the maneuver that he does is basically he inverts the plane, so they're flying upside down, at top speed,
Right.
to maintain lift, and then he does this move with the engine where he flips it. It's actually a really good movie, but one of the better Zemeckis movies. But there's just something really interesting with all these tropes and dates and things that like it points to something more than just some movies. That's what I'm.
Okay, so we may have to bring the Simpsons into this, but not quite yet. Let's talk about somebody like Zemeckis and Back to the Future. 2, not 1, but 2. It feels like it either feels like predictive programming, and they know exactly what's going to happen because they're working in tandem with like the Menachem Golises or whatever, the Canon Films people, right? Like they just kind of know what's going to happen. Or they actually have some kind of scrying device or something. Have you ever thought about that?
Mm.
Like how do they get some of these details? Like, I think we could make a case that Biff is Trump in Back to the Future too,
Oh yeah.
and it's not that hard. Um,
Really.
and it's uncanny, like the hotel and everything, and the garishness. Now, are they just betting on sort of Trump being this supersized character, and this is kind of how it's going to unfold with Biff in this model? Or do you think that they've got their hands on something else? Like, are they
Oh
going
man,
deep Kabbalah on us, or what do you think?
that's like the $1 million question. I really, go back and forth. Sometimes it seems like absolutely. I watch Back to the Future, and it's just like there is I don't necessarily trust. They're saying they're giving this picture of the future before it happens, where we're saying, okay, here's
Right,
Trump, and he's this evil guy, and he's an evil time traveler who's only out for himself. But I'm just sort of I'm skeptical of the Zemeckis side of things. Like, well, what are you selling? Like, um, I, it, it's such a hard question to answer, honestly. I mean, we have this whole theory of possession. We've kind of come up with this whole theory of possession to explain it,
right,
where things like Being John Malkovich come into it, where it seems like there's an element of human beings being just outright controlled and sort of puppeted into these things. I
right,
mean, it's quite possible that Zemeckis and co are just not really aware of what they're doing, but there is some kind of something speaking through them and using them, just little adjustments or just little things. But then again, I look at 9/11 and the Twin Towers, and I know like I feel that those things were built to be destroyed,
sure,
which implies 30, 40 years of foreknowledge from someone. And so it just makes sense that they are broadcasting in the predictive program, the classic like predictive programming sense of showing us what they're doing. They have to
right,
show us what they're doing before they do it. But it's like Philip K. Dick. He stayed up all night coming up with all these different theories to figure it out, and he could never settle on just one. Kind of in the same boat. Um, and he's
yeah,
even in the same boat because he codenamed his whole experience 2374, which was he only did that because that's when it happened. February, March of 1974. And it just so happens that those numbers perfectly communicate 237 and 74, which is 2 times 37.
right. Is that when the gal from the drugstore showed up at his house?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
With the fish necklace,
Yeah,
and he gets a glint of light, and suddenly a pink beam of light starts, and he has this whole month-long trip. Um, yeah, and if you get his book, The Exegesis, it's got 2374 on the spine, and nobody makes the connection between that and room 237 because there's no real connection, but there is. I mean, absolutely. So,
right, right.
I don't know.
Um, I had never made this connection before. Maybe it's a little obscure, but I'll throw this out there to you. There were two guys that played for the Houston Rockets, uh, Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson, and they were called the Twin Towers.
Oh,
And Houston is where George Bush Sr. is located, right?
yeah, sure.
So Enron, like
Uh-huh.
all those companies, even though I think Bush might have had shares in Enron, but what's the other company? Brown Root Kellogg, and then the other one. That's
Oh man.
anyway. I just thought it was really interesting that the Houston Rockets would have these two guys, and they'd be called the Twin Towers, and that's where George Bush,
I just
Houston.
looked it up. I just looked him up. Oh well, I knew Elijah Wan. I didn't know the other guy, but I looked up Elijah Wan's page. He says he combined with the 7'4" Ralph Sampson to form a duo dubbed the Twin Towers. There's that 7'4" again that I was just talking about. 2 times 37. Also July 4th.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, that July 4th, 1776, if people don't know, 74 days equals 1776 hours.
Oh,
So I'm
interesting.
pretty sure that that is sort of one of the, reasons for that day being the day. And then Ralph Sampson himself was born on July 7th, which is the 7-7 day. So he's a
7-7.
7-7 born guy, 7'4", Twin Towers. Yeah,
And
that's cool.
Olajuwon, I think, is a Leo, if I'm not mistaken.
He's actually January 21st.
Oh,
So,
January 21st. He's Aquarius.
huh.
Aquarius, my bad. Other sign. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I never made that connection before until today when we started talking about the Twin Towers. I'm like, oh, there were these two players and they were the Twin Towers. And
That's funny. I didn't
yeah,
know that. There's, I
yeah.
mean, there's, yeah, I mean, it's sort of, you can find these, like we were talking about in wrestling, they had the Twin Towers and the Mega Powers, and these things will just connect to the Twin Towers, almost like things are just moving backwards or things are spilling out backwards in time. That's another kind of thesis I had for a while, where, because there's a movie called The Cruise, which is actually a documentary about a guy. He's a tour guide in New York, pre 9/11. He's this very loquacious
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Timothy Levitt, Speed Levitt,
Speed Levitz. Yeah, yeah.
very interesting guy.
He was also, I think, in one of the whatchamacallit movies. Not Mike Judge, the other guy. Dazed and Confused. I think he was in
Oh, Linklater.
he was in a Linklater film. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, there's a documentary about him called The Cruise, and there's lots of stuff in there where he's talking about New York, but there's this really great, powerful 9/11 foreshadowing in there where he's on the tour bus. You don't see the towers, but they're sitting underneath the Twin Towers. There's a little boy he's talking to, and he's telling him, he's like, those are the Twin Towers, they're brothers. I can't exactly I can't remember exactly what he says, but something, he starts referencing them falling, people running, and then at the end of the film, there's this whole thing of him. He Something that he always loved to do was to go in between the twin towers, spin around, get dizzy, and lay down and look up at them, and that's like they're coming in on top of them, on top of you. Like, that's the way the movie ends. It's like him,
Like the
like
towers
laying
collapse.
in,
Like the
yeah,
towers
laying in,
collapsing in on him.
yeah,
That's wild.
metaphorically speaking. And this is after he's like literally like communicating with the architecture of the city. Like, he has his hands on the bridge and he's talking to the bridge, and it's like, well, the city is speaking through him. Um, so this kind of thing happens, and it's pretty magical, honestly.
It is. It's like who was I was listening. Do you know who this guy Howard Bloom is by any chance?
Howard Bloom, the literature guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I know
So
him.
so he's like I heard a podcast that he did with Joe Rogan about 11 years ago, and I don't agree with everything that he says, but some of the things he says is kind of amazing. And he talks about these moments where like people become these sort of transcendent portals for information or symbolism or something that's like beyond their knowing, right? Like for whatever reason, usually he tags it to like having some kind of an ecstatic moment. But like if you're creating a piece of music or you're deeply immersed in something that you're passionate about, like it's in those moments where there's this different interface at a, I guess you call it a higher vibrational level, right? So maybe what you're talking about with some of these things is that maybe it's not a full on kind of radioscope, Kabbalistic crystal ball into the future, although there could be that. Um, but maybe it's that some of these people are able to kind of get into these states where they're able to actually pull this stuff in, right? For
Yeah.
however they do it. There was something I was going to bring up. What was it that was related to this? But what are your thoughts on that? Right, like that people have this ability to sort of be like almost like a two-way mirror,
Oh
and
yeah.
to bring certain types of knowledge or symbolism or whatever into the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I feel that's an idea that's as old as humans, I think. Like with I just go back to, Terrence McKenna was one of the guys that really awakened me in my kind of psychedelic journey, and he would just, just talk about it in terms of shamanism and like, yeah, I mean, we are absolutely man is the midpoint, they say, um between the realms, and where we have one foot in this one and one foot in the other, and absolutely think we can be used as I think we are being, I think this is what Dick believed, Philip K. Dick, about his thing, what he called Valis being the salvific sort of entity that's here using us as its sort of implements to transform uh, the world, this black iron prison that they call it. Um, and you can I don't know if it's really well, just a really good example that I like to tell people about, because it's is the book Infinite Jest. Since we're talking about Howard Bloom and literature, and like,
Right.
because it's interesting, writing a book is much different from making a film, like what Kubrick was doing. So, because it involves so many different people. But if you're writing a book, it's just you and your pen, basically. So I kind of got into all this stuff through literature. Mostly, I was like into literature. I was going to be like an English teacher or whatever. James Joyce, these big books. Uh, there's one called Infinite Jest, which is,
David Foster Wallace.
yeah, it's like my favorite. He was my favorite writer growing up when he was still alive. He committed suicide in 2008,
Right.
but he wrote this book, Infinite Jest. It's a 1,000-page novel about tennis. It's about drugs. It's about lots of things. It was very popular. But so I was a big fan of that book before I knew anything about sync, about CryptoK, any of this, even conspiracies. And it was just something that was with me all the time. So I'd read it back then. Years later, I get into sync, I get into conspiracy, I get into CryptoK, and I go back and I read Infinite Jest, and I'm like, he is telling, this is CryptoK. This is the exact same story that Sean has just told me that he's discovered in all this Kubrick material. This exact story is being told by David Foster Wallace in Infinite Jest. The story being a extremely reclusive, highly intelligent, cerebral, artistic filmmaker, patriarch, dies, and his ghost comes back and is haunting his son and the rest of the world, basically, through his films, which are like a mind control operation to um what he says is to help his son become like come out of himself, become a real person rather than a machine. Like, and what's the name of the son? Hal.
Oh my
Hal
God.
in
Wow.
Candenza, and Hal has this whole speech. I am not a machine. I have feelings. I'm a feeling being. And it's like,
Wow.
so I could talk for hours. This is like, so I was just like, I just this is just weird because okay, so I guess my point was that like here's Dave Foster Wallace. I know for a fact he sat in a tiny room with a bag of ballpoint pens and wrote this thing by hand. And if you can look at the manuscript, this tiny script, it's like, how did he even do this? Where did all this come from? And
Right.
I just and so seeing it just parallel, that really kind of made me think like, wow, there might really be something here. Like this guy was fucking possessed, like literally possessed into writing this story. And he could what's worth noting, he could not follow it up really. I mean, he could not write another novel. He
Right.
tried. He kept he was writing and writing, but he couldn't finish his next novel. He wound up committing suicide for various reasons. But that's kind of interesting too, because like that would suggest that he really didn't do it because he had some kind of inspiration going that he could not get back. So I don't know. I hope that answers your. I don't think that answers your question, but it's something I've always wanted to tell people about. Because it's just
Well,
it's very
it
fascinating.
seems like for him with Infinite Jest, for however long it took, right? He had his fingers on the lightning,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you can always live like that,
I guess not.
right?
Like an exposed nerve.
I think of somebody like Robert Anton Wilson, who has a lot of interesting information and symbolism and sort of Eris chaos. And it's fascinating, but and he's able to tap into something like the Illuminatus trilogy is a really great book.
Mhm.
But it's not like transcendent, right? It's not like
Yeah.
Infinite Jest or it's not like Ulysses, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have that same kind of Promethean sort of I'm stealing fire from the gods. So
Mhm.
as a result, Robert Anton Wilson a longer arc as an author,
Oh, yeah.
right?
For sure.
So I don't know. Do you think those two are correlative, right? Like the amount of vision somebody can bring down and the intensity of it versus like it being spaced out through like a lesser or sort of what sort of filtered down version so the person has like a long like can you see a correlation between the two or is that just kind of random do you think?
God, hard to say. Everybody's so different. And I mean, I personally tend to think of Wallace, like his problem was more like environmental. Like he had some fucked up stuff going on with his brain, like that someone like Robert Wilson did not. He had a whole different, like completely different setting or
Right,
settle.
right, get it, I
So,
get it, yeah.
um, yeah, w- but I do think that like there's something to be said. Like somebody like Wallace was, I mean, Wilson definitely had like the structural scaffolding, the mental scaffolding to intake all this weird shit, but like hold it apart and sort of hold it in his mind. Whereas somebody like David Foster Wallace was just like, he was kind of, I think, consumed with, in some ways, his own like legacy. Like, I want to be the great artist. Like, I want to be create the great thing.
The great American novel, whatever that
And
is.
so he's opening himself up to the to the spirits that can produce that sort of thing. Whereas Wilson was like, he was not so much, he was kind of making fun of all that with the,
Right.
with the
Right.
Illuminatus thing. So I don't know, very different people, but two of my favorite people ever.
Yeah, I thought it'd be an interesting contrast. You know, there's this, I don't know if you caught this, but it's kind of in the same vein that we're talking about now. There's this clip from Sammy Hagar playing live at Winterland, and he did a song, I believe, off of his third album, and it's called Crack in the World. Have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
So it's gone viral, and let me see if I can find I don't want to play the song because I'll get a copyright strike, but let me do the lyrics for Crack in the World. It's going to blow you away.
Okay.
So Crack in the World. Not Cracklin' Rosie, no. We're not doing Neil Diamond. All right, so here we go. These are the lyrics for Crack in the World. Come on. Right here. So you can find this over on YouTube. You can either find it by the song itself or the 3-song medley, which I actually recommend because he does Space Age Sacrifice, which is really good. So look at these lyrics. It says, I found out what it is that's been driving me mad. There's no room to breathe between the good and the bad. A crush in between, there's a thin, thin line. But just around the corner, there's a change in design. I wish I could walk away and dig what the preachers say, but those words don't satisfy me no more. Then he does, there's a crack in the world 3 times. And here's where it gets really interesting. Just 50 more years, and we're all going to know why, when, where, how, and who gets to go. So let's all have a good time before the great divide, because things will start separating come 2025.
Wow.
So look for the subtle clues. It won't make the front page news. That depends upon which side that you choose. It goes back into this crack in the world. This thing has gone totally viral over the last week or so, right? And again, it's like what prompted Sammy Hagar to write those lyrics in, I think it was 1978, if I'm not
77.
mistaken.
I was just looking.
77. Yeah, what prompted him to write those lyrics in 1977, and specifically 2025? And if you look at that imagery of this crack that is sort of happening in Idaho, have you seen that? It's
no.
Oh,
I missed that.
So I can find this thing.
Idaho crack, man.
So there's this major crack that people have kind of discovered in Idaho, and see if I can find the news on it. And so it let me see if I can find it. Crack down on pipe vape shops. Of course, when you want to find it, you can't find it. But there's been this viral sort of video of this crack in Idaho. And then you have all these major sort of tectonic events happening now, right?
Yeah.
Some of them seem maybe a little more simulated in some ways.
Yeah.
Like when the force of the earthquake hits a submarine base in Russia. That seems a little.
The 8.8 earthquake?
Yeah.
8.8?
8.8. That's right.
And then Trump got on Twitter, was just like, oh, there's an earthquake.
Right.
I just felt like he just hit the button and was like, "Oh, by the way, there's going to be an earthquake."
Well, it's interesting. Trump has said in passing that we have weapons that they don't even know about. Like he has said that in press conferences, just kind of
Yeah,
under his breath, right?
yeah.
And
They
I
love
don't
when he
know,
does that.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was also another submarine event I think that happened in 20 might have been 2018. I was watching the Las Vegas Summer League, and there was a Russian submarine that got down probably about a week or two before, and then they had this major like earthquake event near Palm Desert where they actually do have an inland submarine port, right? Like it's there in the desert, and you can like basically cruise out of this thing from the desert and hit the open water. And
Mm,
they've so there was an earthquake right around there in Palmdale, or and then they actually felt the earthquake in Las Vegas because I was watching the summer league. So there's this weird history, right, with earthquakes and submarines and submarine bases. But
mhm.
if you get back to like Sammy Hagar's song, so we had the 8.8 earthquake, and then we've had very strange rumblings in Mount Rainier. Uh, I don't know how much real information you can pull out of Yellowstone, but it seems a little wonky, right? And so when you hear a song like that and you start to see some of this geophysical stuff start to happen, it's like, where did Sammy pull that out of, right? This gets back to that moment, that we were talking about, where potentially somebody is writing a song and maybe they're in some kind of a reverie or they're high, and all of a sudden now we got a code for 2025.
Mhm. Yeah. He again, I think that's like the great art. That's what it's been the whole time, and we're just kind of getting to be able to realize that because we have so much like powers of documentation and sort of analysis now that we're kind of. I was thinking of that guy Cliff High while you were talking, who he came up with the WebBot thing where
Yeah,
his whole thing trawls the internet and reads the vibes basically and makes predictions. And he also talks a lot about the fact that the expanding Earth theory, the idea
hmm
that the Earth is actually getting bigger and growing.
oh, I
Uh,
believe that. I totally believe that.
and I just thought of there's been I've been going to the movies a lot lately, and there's been there the two big comic book movies that just came out, Superman and Fantastic Four. Both, well, Superman involves a crack in the world, literally, because the whole ending part is about this giant crack in Metropolis that's a big fault that's going to completely crack the planet open.
Isn't that
Um,
interesting?
and then Fantastic Four, there's a whole plot about the underground. There's a subterranea. There's a whole civilization underground led by Mole Man, um, called Subterranea. And so when Galactus comes to destroy the planet, people go underground to evacuate. And I just thought that's interesting. He's Mole Man because Elon Musk, his name, you can get mole out of it.
Yeah,
Mole Sunk, I think, is the
yeah,
anagram. And of course, he has the Boring Company, and he's all about digging tunnels. And he might be literal like mole in terms of like intelligence or whatever.
absolutely. He
So
looks like a mole. There's something moley about him.
yeah, little tiny eyes.
Yeah,
So um, so yeah, I mean, again, like I like that the crack in the world 2025. That's really interesting because I mean that Superman that just came out, literal crack in the world, being saved by Superman. And Crypto, the dog. Crypto with a K, which
Right.
is nice for my brand. But
Right. You know,
uh,
you know what's interesting is that, like, if you look at these comic book characters, a lot of them have been put through the DEI blender. You know,
sure.
like Captain America's black now.
Yeah,
You know, um, Superman will always be Superman, right? Like
it's true.
he will never be Superman will never be black ever.
No, that just wouldn't. I mean, I doubt it. I could. Yeah, but why is that exactly? Why do you?
I have a theory as to why he would never be black. It's because if you look at the Superman myth, it's the myth of Moses. Like he's Moses. Like so when Moses is a child, they put him in a basket of reeds and float him down the Nile, right? And he's adopted by a new family.
Mm-hmm.
On Krypton,
Mm-hmm.
baby Superman is shot out from an exploding planet, right? Who's
Mm-hmm.
adopted
Mm-hmm.
by another family. So it's the retelling of the Moses story. If you look at his name is Kal-El,
Yeah.
right? Which is Hebraic.
Yeah.
And he gets adopted by this, Gentile. Literally, they're gentle. They're these gentle people from the
Mm-hmm.
Midwest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has to take on a different name,
Right.
right? So he changes his identity,
Clark Kent.
Clark Kent, when his real name is Kal-El. And what does he have to do? He has to fit in, and he has to hide all of his superpowers from the rest of the world, right? So he has this dual identity,
Mm-hmm.
and he only has one, like, weakness in the world, and it's kryptonite, right? It's kryptonite.
His true his home his well what
Right. Well, it's like he's kind of a crypto, like he's a crypto Joe
mm-hmm.
by being Clark Kent, right? So
Right.
understanding his identity is his kryptonite, like
Right.
who he really is and what his superpowers are.
Yeah.
So that's why he will never be black,
Right.
because that's never going to get, it's never going to get a redo. But everybody
Kind
else
of
is,
like how James Bond will never be a woman, I think.
I hope, yeah, weren't they flirting with that for a while? Wasn't there supposed to be some?
They were, but I don't think that I doubt it will ever happen.
Do you,
It
do
does.
you,
It seems like that trend of that the DEI trend is sort of waning a little bit. I think
I think it's just completely over.
Hollywood is not interested in pissing anyone off
It's
lately.
completely over now. I mean, when you have within the span of what, like a week, and I think this gets back into some of the stuff that we talk about, or we're talking about, like, what I like to call the reality canon, and things get shoved at us and pushed at us, right? So within 1 week, you have Sydney Sweeney doing the American Spirit gene thing,
Well, I
right?
can talk about that too.
Well, let's get into that in a second. And then on the other side, you have Sophie Cunningham, who plays for the Indiana Fever, doing this Arby's commercial, which is it's like hot white girl summer or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden, we went from like complete diversity to we're moving into like Valhalla or some shit like that now.
Yeah.
Like there's been this flip. It's almost like overnight, and then you can see this also reflected with Stephen Colbert. He's not going to be on late night TV anymore. The View are taking a sabbatical. Like there's this really weird reality shift
It's happening.
that's taking place. Let's talk about Sydney Sweeney. What do you got on her?
Oh, okay. Here, let me get my tweet up. It's just, yeah, it's funny. Like just noticed for a while now, she's one of these up and coming celebrities that is just being sort of shoved down everyone's throat, not for any real reasons of talent or anything. Just just why her? You know that. So I had these thoughts before I looked into anything. I think, well, there's no way that it's like her birthday is. It's not about when she was born, right? There's
Yeah.
no way she would be connected. So, all right, I'm gonna drop this in the chat, private chat here, my tweet. Um, essentially, okay, I found that yes, it is completely about when she was born. Uh, September 12th, 1997. Um, if can you pull up that tweet that I dropped in there on
Yeah.
your screen? Sorry
Yeah.
if it's
No
just got
worries.
a visual. It's basically a chart. Um, well, what did I find? So how do I start this? Where do I start? So I've known for a long time that there's this relationship between The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut and the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Uh, so the 93 World Trade Center bombing happened exactly 666 weeks after The Shining premiered. And that is and exactly 333 weeks before Eyes Wide Shut premiered,
That's crazy.
making 999 weeks between The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah. Another great little piece of that is on the day of the World Trade Center bombing, 1993, the movie Michael Douglas movie Falling Down
Oh yeah.
premiered, which is just like, okay, they're falling down.
Right. Right.
So if you can click on the picture and just blow it up a little, essentially Sweeney's birth kind of fits into this little matrix because it actually fits with the sequel to 2001, which how do I even untangle this? I'm sorry. It's a little bit confusing, but
All right.
essentially
Oops.
that 2010 came out 237 weeks after The Shining.
Uh-huh.
The World Trade Center bombing came 666 weeks after The Shining. Sydney Sweeney was born 666 weeks after 2010 was released.
Wow.
And 606 plus 237 after The Shining. And actually, that means if you exit out of that and you go down or just scroll down to the next one.
Hold on.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, you're good.
Not that one, but the one after it. Or maybe. I'm sorry.
Let's see.
No.
Let's get
Fine.
get on your post.
I'm gonna get another link here. I got another link. I'm gonna drop just.
So there's following Superman. You got that one. You got that one.
Here, check the private chat of our
Okay.
thing real quick. So yeah, so it's basically just that Sydney Sweeney was born. Okay, here we go. 237 weeks after the World Trade Center bombing. So it's just like these different little pieces.
The first one, the first bombing.
The first bombing, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you remember from that other graphic, on the other side of her birthday, 237 weeks, is this movie called Teddy Bear's Picnic, which is actually a comedy set at Bohemian Grove, where it's basically a spoof on the Bohemian Grove cult called Teddy Bear's Picnic.
I remember that. I actually remember that.
Yeah.
Barely.
It's got like I forget his name, Harry Shearer, the Simpsons guy, and in it, and various Fred Ward, these great comedians.
Love Fred Ward.
So yeah, Sydney Sweeney, she comes to fame on this show called Euphoria. Euphoria equals 93 in gematria. Saturn equals 93 in gematria. Sweeney equals 93 in reverse gematria. And then as a function of all these numbers, it's 96 weeks from her birth to Eyes Wide Shut. Her last name equals 96 in gematria. So, and then interestingly enough, like 9/12/1997 means she turned 19 9/12/2016, which is it's actually the day after my dad died, which was 9/11/2016.
That's weird.
Which was the day not which was the day Hillary Clinton got thrown into the bus. You remember?
You mean the day that Hillary Clinton died?
Yes. Yes. The day she died and was thrown into a van.
Because I think whoever that was, whether that was her or one of her clones, that thing expired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it for sure.
Well, it was wild, right? Like I was doing the show with Randy Moggins and Emily Moyer, and it was the night before that happened, so that was the 10th. And I think that that event was on a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And I was on this show with them, and I just we were talking about like the state that she was in, and I said it wouldn't surprise me if she died, like somewhere along the way soon.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, you just see that she just crumples and collapses as she's going into that. Basically, that was like a mobile ambulance that they had with her all the time.
Yeah, it was 11/9 and that or 9/11, and then that sort of mirrored the day Trump actually was elected, which was 11/9.
11/9, and that
2016.
11/9 is actually Leon Trotsky's birthday as well. Yeah, 11/9 is an interesting inversion of 9/11. Like, there's a lot of weird shit.
Another one of those inversions is Paul McCartney's death. Actually, he was said to have died on September 11th, 1966.
1966, right?
And then, but then on 11/9 of 66, I think some other people say he died on 11/9, but in reality, on 11/9, that was when John Lennon met Yoko on 11/9, 66, which is kind of interesting, like in a way of like the Beatles dying when he meets her.
It's true because they do take on a very different character because she's always around, right? She's always around, and she's always meddling. She comes from this incredibly wealthy Japanese family.
Oh yeah,
like super wealthy.
She's a very strange character. I don't like I don't agree with all the hate she gets. I think she's fairly unwarranted, but
well, I have to say that Lennon's last record that he did, the Double Fantasy, the Yoko stuff is the most interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think she's a tremendous artist, and she's really influential among, like punk rock and just all sorts of things that she contributed to.
Have you ever seen the video where John's playing with Chuck Berry?
Yeah,
Yoko singing.
Yeah, which is
the look on Chuck Berry's face is like,
that makes it kind of like Back to the Future, doesn't it? Because that whole deal in Back to the Future is where Michael J. Fox goes back in time and he plays the Chuck Berry riff to the crowd, and they're like, what the hell's going on? And he's like, well, I guess you're not ready for that. And he hands the guitar off to a guy on stage, and the guy is Chuck Berry. I think that's supposed to be Chuck Berry on stage.
It's supposed to be Chuck Berry.
And he's like, ooh, whoa. So that's exactly what's going on with kind of Yoko, because she's kind of giving you a glimpse of the future of like abstract impressionist art, punk rock, to Chuck Berry, who's kind of like doesn't really get it. I don't know, that just occurred to me, that parallel. But
well, Yoko's an Aquarian, so like that's what she does, man. She screams and yells, and primal howl, and she's a destroy. I mean, that's what Aquarius does. It's a destroyer of form, right? In a lot of
Right.
ways.
Yeah.
So even by coming into the Beatles, they've introduced this element of chaos.
Yeah.
Who is Yoko Ono?
Fantastic Four too. She's kind of like Galactus to the Fantastic Four,
Yeah, right. Um,
which is another what do you call it? Like emanation of the 7-4 ratio, which I don't know if I wanted to tell. This is just something that's been on my mind for a while. Fantastic Four go up against Galactus. 4 versus the G. G is 7, so it's 7/4,
right.
which is just again extremely important occult like ratio, and I think that's the whole point. Um, and then the 4 in that movie, they have a baby, so it's like there's a joke about like the 5, which must be sort of like the fifth element.
Right. Right. So we just talked about Sydney Sweeney, and Fantastic Four related. You get Pedro Pascal, who seems to be absolutely everywhere right now, and you got the double P's with PP with Pedro Pascal.
And
You have
he's
any number magic on him?
I haven't really looked at his birthday. April 2nd. He's a 4/2. That's pretty on the nose. Actually, he's born in a very interesting time. April 2nd, 1975, which I was just thinking about that because I was reading my article that I had in Bitcoin Magazine, and April 5th is the birth of Satoshi Nakamoto, April 5th, 75.
Right.
And the day before that is the founding of Microsoft.
Interesting.
And then so 2 days before that is Pedro Pascal's birthday.
Interesting. So I looked up 11/9, like the November 9th.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just to see what kind of interest, because there's some interesting days associated with it.
Sure.
One of them is, check this out. Just as you were talking about Microsoft and the number 42, Pedro Pascal being born on 4/2, the state of Washington is admitted as the 42nd state on 11/9.
What?
Yeah, I'll show you.
That's a good one. That's great.
I mean, this is like some real time noodle cracking right here.
Yeah, I love it.
Right, so there it is. State of 42nd state. Yeah, this is 11/9.
1889. That's Hitler's birth year.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like looking at inversions of dates, especially.
Oh wow, that is such a great detail to have now, because that actually ties something in perfectly. Which I don't even need to bring it up, but state of Washington is the 42nd state. I did not realize that.
Yeah, yeah. And then here you have another event: Industrial Workers of the World attack on Armistice Day parade in Centralia, Washington.
Oh,
That's
1919.
wild. That's really.
Oh yeah.
Centralia, Washington's like onion country. That's where they grow the onions, right?
Nice. Yeah.
So they're working on some kind of a workers' revolt. Here you go. Hitler arrested for the beer hall putsch.
Oh.
Right there.
Oh gosh. Oh, there's so much here actually. Well, the Tomb of the Unknowns, dedicated by Warren G. Harding in 1921. Warren G. Harding is like a interesting figure.
Very
WG 23/7. And 1921 is the year of the Shining Party.
Uh-huh.
On 7/4, 1921. So, but then the one after that, the United States numbered highway system is established.
Right.
This is something that I've seen before. Yeah, on 11/9, I've compared. I can't remember why I stumbled on this, but I looked at it and I'm like, this is what CryptoK is. It's the United States numbered highway system. of essentially like the sort of under architecture of the United States in time. I just consider it a sort of the same sort of like a metaphor for what I'm doing.
Do you know? Do you know Slick Dissident? Do you know him?
No. Mm-mm.
I got to get him on my show. He does this thing where he has a map of the United States like this, and he has all the major arcana
Ooh.
like aligned, and he can just
Oh, cool.
zoom in an area and like just nail the major arcana. So
Nice.
it doesn't have anything to do with the highway system, but it does have to do with numbers, symbols, and as it relates to certain regions of the U.S. Look at that! Look at that! Look at this thing. So they just said, "Okay, here we go. We're going to start numbering these babies." And
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah, that was 1926.
that's wild. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see. A lot of World War II stuff. It's amazing how much World War II stuff just gets soaked up by Wikipedia.
I know. I kind of have to just ignore it.
Let's see, is there anything else interesting here? You get a lot of Vietnam War stuff. So a lot of war stuff.
Oh, sure. Let's see. 11. Yeah, because you're close to 11/11, which was the World War One armistice.
So Yasser Arafat dies on 11/9 in 2004. And that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the end of the PLO.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so some interesting births. Trotsky's
Paracelsus.
born.
Paracelsus.
Yep, Paracelsus. The great alchemist Paracelsus.
Yeah, there's one of my favorite quotes from Philip K. Dick, where he's talking about like he's hypothesizing like what is Valis like. If it's a person, it would have to be someone like Paracelsus, like someone with this type of transcendent mind.
George Patton, 11/9.
Oh yeah, there you go.
He was an interesting character. He was involved in Hollywood. He grew up in Southern California, rode horses. It was almost like he was born and bred to be Patton in a lot of ways. So, yeah, 11/9, interesting day.
Stubby K.
So that was a Stubby K. That jumped out like Stubby K.
I've
American entertainer.
His name before.
Oh, Vonnegut. You know, that's a guy that I was very curious if you've done any number work with Vonnegut.
Vonnegut. Some. He's an Indiana guy like me.
I think he's a terribly underappreciated American writer.
Yeah, he's great. One of the greatest. Yeah, I think the only thing I have, I think, is that I was relating him to Thomas Pynchon somehow, but I can't recall it off the top of my head. I have to search for it. But yeah, I love Vonnegut. What's that? Slaughterhouse-Five is a really key text for us because, like, it is about this whole idea of being like unstuck in time,
right?
And time interloper, and
right.
kind of humans being like an alien experiment of some kind, being observed and
that movie. Like I remember, have you seen the movie at all by any chance?
Yes, for sure.
So when back in the day, when you go to the movies, you would basically pay for two movies, right? You had sort of the opening movie and then the other movie. So we went to go see A Boy and His Dog. with Don Johnson. You ever see that movie?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So the other movie that was playing there that we happened to come in on was Slaughterhouse-Five, and I didn't know anything about it. I
Wow.
don't know, maybe 14 or 15 years old, took the bus there. And so dropping in the middle of Slaughterhouse-Five seems really appropriate
Yep,
because you could drop in anywhere in that film
yep.
and then have to sort of eventually. And I thought, this, I don't know what I'm watching, but it's so fucking good that when this other movie is over, I want to stay again or to see the rest of this other
Sure.
movie. And Slaughterhouse-Five really encapsulates that weird, I don't know what you would call it, like an interzone, like
Yeah.
this liminal space where all these realities are happening simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at his character, like that's him, like he's writing about his life. But if you look at his character, Billy Pilgrim, Billy's almost like he's almost like an NPC.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's sort of just watching the events of his life unfold. It's like he's not even really an actor in his own life. And so, do you think that that kind of like observational or very neutral kind of place that he's in allows him to have more flexibility with these kind of ongoing sort of moments of reality?
Yeah. Kind of, you're talking it kind of like almost like an idiot, sort of like
Kind
or
of. I mean, he's not quite.
or a sacred kind of fool.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that like when he's in Dresden, in the Dresden camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's bullied. He's like, you know, made fun of. Like it's like he's like, yeah, he is almost like this Dostoevsky like fool, sort of stumbling through life, and he winds up studying optometry. You know, becomes an optometrist, right? And then he marries this woman, and she's always telling him how much she loves him and how much she's gonna lose weight for him. And every time you go into a scene in the future with them, she's gained weight and shit, right? But he's never really committal to anything. Like he has these two kids, and you know, he's this kind of mild mannered, successful optometrist, but it's not like he has a huge footprint in his life. And I've wondered, like, there's almost like a level of non-attachment that allows him to have access to these different timelines, different realities. What are your thoughts on that? Just from like, you know, a personality type or cultivating like a sense of non-attachment. Like, does that open us up to sort of the subtleties of these other realms and these other like timelines?
Could be. Well, I just think of like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it's like, you know, 7, 8 billion people on Earth. 6 or so people gets shot out into the ocean, into the space. 2 guys are even awake, but only one guy makes it to the cosmic seed, which is basically like a sperm, impregnating a. But in other words, you have to go alone.
Right.
So in a sense, I wonder about that. It's like it is an interior journey, I think, and so you can't take it with you, including other people, and it's an internal thing. But so
Well, even when you look at Keir Dulley's character, Dave, right? And who's the other character on board with him? What is it? What's his name?
Frank Poole or Gary Lockwood is
Gary Lockwood. You know, I mean, I know that Kubrick is doing this on purpose, but they're almost like NPCs, right? They're almost just going through the motions, doing their laps on the circular thing. right? There's no real sense of, like at the beginning of the movie, there's that guy who's traveling to the moon and he's got his briefcase, and
Floyd.
you could tell he's got a sense of purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like he
Oh
knows who
yeah.
he is. He's got kind of a disconnected relationship with his kids or whatever, but he's much more animated and much more, um, again, filled with maybe this sense of purpose. And then when he gets to his sense of purpose, everything shifts. But then you have these other two guys who are just kind of going through the motions, right? They're not like him at all. And for one of them, Dave, it does open up to this other reality, right? And so I know it's kind of a bit of a leap, but there seems to be some kind of a correlation between the Dave character in 2001 and Billy Pilgrim, who doesn't really seem attached
Mm,
to the reality that he's in.
yes.
And, borderline disassociative, but it
Yeah.
also opens him up to like being able to slip in and out of time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged kind of sword because this reality is about making connections and um, being grounded with other people.
Right.
But I mean, it's easy to become ungrounded without other people in your life. Like someone like my friend Sean, who died young. He didn't have anybody really. He was a loner. He was the guy in his basement figuring out the secrets of the universe, kind of forsook human relationships as or a woman, female really. So like, and I think it kind of in the end he felt that sting of like not having any connection, and I don't know if it was worth it for him. Like if he felt in the end that he really got anything out of, like if he I feel bad for him that last year, like laying in a hospital, just like not really having anybody. And so in that sense, like there's like a tendency to romanticize. And so, by the way, Slaughterhouse-Five was his favorite movie, like, or one of his favorite movies.
I can see why it's
He
amazing.
loved Mike Nichols, all of his films. Catch-22 was another one.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah, it's just like it's a lonely road
Well,
sometimes.
look at David Foster Wallace.
Sure,
You can
yeah.
draw the same. Now,
He did actually get married and have like a home, seemed to have a home life, but it didn't pan out, obviously.
he couldn't hold it together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And Philip K. Dick is a exploration in a different direction. Like he's got all these women in his life,
yeah. Trail of
that
divorces.
kind of play handmaiden to his madness along the way.
Yeah.
I've had Tessa, his wife, on my show a couple times,
Yeah. Totally.
and she's still around, man. She's tough as nails. She lives like
I
up in
know.
Alpine in San Diego, that area.
Uh-huh.
And dude, that's not easy to live in during the wintertime.
Really?
Like it gets
Yeah,
down
I
to
always
the 20s.
see her, she's just always having a hard time. Her power's going out and feeling so bad for her. I hope she's skating along still.
She hangs it. I mean, she survived Philip K. Dick, so
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, Tess, if you're out there, we hope you're well.
Yeah.
And in dealing with so-called reality. Okay, you got any predictions here as to where things might be headed?
Where things might be headed. Well, I'm
If you
still
could,
waiting for today to end, I kind of expecting some kind of something to happen today. I haven't really been checking the news or anything, but just because not just what I was talking about before, but Trump himself has been pointing towards today for some kind of some deal that he's trying to make. It's gonna expire today. I don't know exactly,
well,
but
here you go. Trump secretly authorized military force against Latin American drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. So theoretically, he has declared war on the cartels today.
Oh,
That was at 1:11 p.m. 8:08. So does that qualify as something?
808. Wait, what did you say about 808?
08:08 today. Or
Oh.
today's a day. Yeah.
Oh, oh 08 today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. That's the timestamp. Does that qualify as something?
Oh, I mean, sure.
Or
That
are we gonna
seems.
or are we gonna have a Taco Tuesday with that?
I was kind of expecting some kind of flight related thing because of the flight, that Denzel Washington stuff, like some sort of just related to that flight trope of maybe a crash or something along those lines. But that's kind of an easy one. I always fall back on because it's one it happens fairly often. It happened to me earlier this year with um, the plane crash in India. Do you remember that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
That one was a day that I had circled because of the comedian Nathan Fielder. Are you familiar with him? The TV show The Rehearsal.
No.
Okay, he's a guy. He's a comedian. He's had shows on. He's kind of a genius, honestly. He's his whole this show, her rehearsal, is about him kind of doing a Charlie Kaufman thing where he's like trying to recreate the world and to understand social dynamics better. And in season 2 of the rehearsal, he turns it into a thing about aviation safety, where he starts analyzing the interactions between pilots and co-pilots in plane crashes when they go down, and trying to understand the communication breakdown. And so he creates this elaborate thing of recreating these plane crashes with actors to analyze their communication patterns and stuff. And so he turned 42 this year
Uh-huh.
on May 12th. They were like, "Happy birthday, Nathan." And knowing what I know about time things, I said, okay, 1 month from today, I'm going to circle that because that is the Wonka day for my thing, Purple Rain, this time span of 2196 weeks, which is very powerful. And so I circled that day for him. And when I woke up that day, it was the Air India Flight 171 plane crash, which killed 242 people because of pilot miscommunication. So I was like, whoa. I just like, and I actually was watching the show the night before, like literally the show. It's just, it's so funny. You should watch it. But like he's standing outside this fake plane crash, like looking in, surrounded by flames. And then I just wake up on the day and it's in the news. So like this kind of thing really does produce results. So I'm just waiting.
Well, there were two plane
Maybe even tomorrow.
crashes in the last 24 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was one uh, in Arizona, and it was like a plane for the Navajo Nation.
Okay.
So, medical community heartbroken after fatal plane crash in Navajo Nation. And then there was another plane crash in Kenya, same day, yesterday.
Okay.
So you did have two plane crashes. And I think there was also, um, they released the footage from the Potomac crash.
The Potomac. Oh, they did?
Yeah, they released that yesterday.
Oh, that's big. Yeah, that's actually huge because I had that day circled too before it happened.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That was that I'm pretty sure I did. That was January 29th, right? The
Yeah.
Potomac.
So it's the NTSB released audio mid-air crash over Potomac River that was released a day ago.
Huh.
So
Yeah, so I had that one circled as a W day too because it was actually, well, no, it wasn't. It was something like that, but it was related to Timothy Chalamet, who plays Wonka, and I had a map I don't know. But so I had that day circled. I had 612 circled. That was another plane crash, and I have today circled. So yeah, you're telling me. So there's one in Kenya, and 4 passengers, 2 on ground killed. That's
Yeah.
42 in the number there, but 6 people died. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
And then there's one today. Okay, so Kenya.
Well, today is when Mars moves into Libra and starts to oppose Saturn, Neptune, and I just felt like
Today?
yeah, starting with today and tomorrow.
Well, then that's funny because I'm Mars Libra. So today is the first day of my Mars.
Yeah, so you have your
Whatever.
Mars return coming. Mars and Libra is interesting. It needs Mars and all the air signs is kind of restless, but Mars and Libra needs some kind of a cause. You need something to like, and it's going to be different with different people. But for somebody like you, I can see Mars and Libra, and you working like this number magic, and going through the Kubrick Grail, and Mars and Libra being like this active balancing force, right, for chaos and order and madness and sanity, right? It's like that's your driver, your Mars and Libra, is to find a balance point between these two extreme worlds.
Yeah.
I think Mars and Libra is interesting. A lot of people, there's a lot of professional athletes of Mars and Libra.
Really?
Yeah, they tend to do well with athletics.
Huh.
But I was thinking today, tomorrow, like these would be the days to really keep an eye on. Like you had plane activity. I had explosive events. People like reaching the end of their fuse, and like maybe not all in the same spot, but various outbreaks of like flash mobbing and all this other stuff going on, and even like counter flash mobbing, because people are kind of over their shit in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Another thing that I always tend to look at is like the movies that are coming out on these days. And actually today we got this new movie called Weapons, which is another W.
Right.
And I think from what I know about it, it sort of reminded me of what you were just talking about, of like kind of people at the end of their fuse. And the guy that made this movie Weapons is one of the whitest kids, comedy guys,
Yeah.
friends with Trevor Moore, the guy who died. He was a very conspiratorially minded comedian and died suspiciously.
Really.
His death actually he died 237 weeks after the Trump inauguration, the first one.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he died. He like fell off a balcony or something. But yeah, if you see any of he's just got these incredible sketches about all the different topics of conspiracy lore. Anyway, so his best friend, or I don't know if he's his best friend, but one of his friends is now a director. His movie released today, which is the anniversary of that guy's death, actually. So, or it was yesterday, but 4 years he died. So that's something to keep an eye on. Weapons, this movie Weapons, is supposed to be really interesting and intense. And that's sort of an interesting thing. Like
Josh Brolin, I like Josh Brolin.
Yeah, it's sort of like a lot of these things. The role that movies and cinema play in our like subconscious, like the energies that are coming out, we kind of project them onto the screen, and the screen is projecting them onto us, and it's this give and take, as above, so below sort of situation. So I wonder if, like, in a way, that's sort of like a release valve. Like, if we didn't have the movies, the hell would we do? Like, what would it be better or worse? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. You may be a better source of information on this than I am, but it just seems like we don't have those movies anymore.
Right.
You know,
It's true.
it's it's like
They went away for a while.
that whole consciousness has been supplanted by independent content creators,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Um, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think some independent content creators are brilliant, and they don't have to work with the same kind of constraints that you would find with Hollywood and budgets. But I am getting, um, I wouldn't say depressed, but the internet is over, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I will search on Google, and I remember I used to get like 20 pages of results on Google. I get one page,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
useless.
says, refine your search or change your search terms. And not only that, but tell me if you've noticed this on YouTube. There, YouTube's being flooded by AI content, right? Like,
Yeah.
so if there's a documentary on, let's say, I don't know, Dostoevsky, there's a pretty good chance it's AI, right? Somebody has basically gone into either ChatGPT or some client and typed up all they needed to know about Dostoevsky, come up with a script. They feed it into one of those AI voices, and you know what they are. You can hear them.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And then they search for images that are going to be related to the text, right? They can bang these things out probably about 15 minutes a pop, and they can do 60-minute, easy 60-minute, like documentaries. And so the AI stuff now is pushing up the algorithm, and it's burying the human created content.
Mhm.
And I mean, we're watching this in real time, like happen before our eyes. Like the internet is just going away.
Yeah, it's something, isn't it? Human yeah, I mean, I miss the internet of the OOs, when it was just like everybody had their own little blog and it was kind of I don't know, it didn't feel so, centralized and,
So did Facebook kill the internet?
um, I'd say that was one one version of Facebook and Reddit, all these information ghettos, they call them, or Matt
Right.
Drudge used to call them, turned into, like and now it's just slowly coalescing, just like all the, corporations are merging into one corporation. It's like now
Right.
it's all converging into one thing, which is X, which is horrible. Like I really it's worse now than it ever has been, in a lot of ways. And so I'm trying to really focus on my Substack, on my just focus on being unAIable. Like I really n- just work on things that AI can't reproduce. Like I really
Right.
don't think that AI is going to be able to recreate what I do anytime soon. Um, and so you just gotta really sharpen your sharpen yourself. But I don't know. I'm no font of wisdom. Honestly, I don't know.
Well, I just feels to me like we're being pushed just more and more synthetic content,
Yeah,
and it's just completely burying like real content. And I don't know if you've heard this, but YouTube's going to require a digital ID to access YouTube. You know this?
I heard something like that. Yeah, that's not. I don't
So
know. Like, yeah, I mean, people like that have had accounts for more than 20 years are like being said you need to prove your identity
right, exactly.
being 18.
Yeah.
So that's bad. Yeah, that's a really bad I mean, the internet needs to be transformed into a more decentralized thing, and there are people that's working on it, but people don't like it at all because they still don't trust things like Bitcoin and the decentralized networks that do exist
Right.
aren't quite there yet. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
again, it's sort of like the world is just it's like Valis transforming everything, and I always have a positive kind of outlook on things that it's ultimately heading towards a world of more truth and openness.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you with that. And there's weird little things that happen along the way that, okay, so for instance, I don't know if you notice this, but when you go into a YouTube video, you used to be able to find the comments really easily,
Yeah.
and you can't find them as easily now, right? Like if
Mhm.
you want to get to the comments, I figured it out. You have to go into the button that makes the screen bigger, and then you will have the comment option
Yeah.
show up. But if you don't do that, you'll get all this other information, but you won't get the comments. I'm like, when the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
That was like maybe 2 weeks ago or something, and like like a rat in a cage, I had to figure out where the cheese was,
Yeah.
figure out where the comments were.
Which
And I was talking about this the other day on my show. We have HEB here in Texas. It's big, big shopping market. And HEB is like fucking Dark City. Like they're just constantly moving shit,
yeah.
right? Like you're like, where did this go? Like it used to be
Yeah.
on this aisle, it's not here anymore. And then you ask somebody and they'll say, well, it's on this aisle. And it's not even there. It's on a completely, I mean, there's this weird thing going on with reality that feels like it's small. It's really small. Like you don't think it's a big thing to figure out where to find the comments on a YouTube channel are. But if you don't know where to go, you're going to waste a lot of time and it gets really frustrating.
Yeah.
And it just feels like there's this thing going on with reality now where there's no kind of standard sort of mean or norm, right? Like things don't stay the same for a period of time where you can integrate them. And just when you're about to integrate like these next changes, boom, they change the form again.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost Skinner-esque in some ways.
Yeah, it's maddening. I've experienced that on the internet for a long time, just that they just can't sit still. They can't keep things the way they are. They're always trying to change things, makes them better, and then they invariably end up just becoming worse and more filled with crap that you don't need. Like you can't read any newspaper website or journalistic website is just unreadable. You click on something, it's all clickbait
It
crap that you
is.
don't
It
even want to
is.
read.
It
So
is.
it's like there's no yeah, again, you gotta find I don't know, just these other channels. Like there's another network called Noster, which is it's not great, but it's an attempt at a decentralized Twitter where you cannot you can't there's no centralized authority. You can't. It's all peer to peer. So, but again, it's very niche, and there's not a whole lot of people. So, but these sorts of things are there, and I think it's a matter of time before people really start to gravitate toward, or one really hits, and like the killer app for the decentralized internet hits.
Yeah.
That could be coming soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to need it because it just feels like, like if you follow what's happening in England, they're like you're going to have a digital ID just to get on the fucking internet in England,
Yeah,
right? And so it just feels like this thing is getting rolled out, across a global platform.
And on the one hand, like, it's a centralized digital ID is, like, a really scary thing, but on the other hand, we kinda do need it digitally because, like, don't know about you, but, like, I am so sick of having to log in, keep all these passwords to, like, all these different freaking 85 different, every company, you have a different account and thing. So, there's something called Urbit, which is kind of trying to solve this problem of a decentralized digital identity where we can sort of build around the individual's presence on the internet and like build out from there rather than these big systems where people are just like it's like a hive mind.
Yeah,
I'm not the most technical person,
I'm
but
totally
it's where we're
with you.
headed.
I mean,
It's a
as long
race against time, I think,
well,
or it's a race against the
the
who's gonna
inevitable. It's a race against the inevitable. More
the
than anything.
inevitable of like who's gonna create the technology first to rope everyone in, and if it's gonna be a freedom technology or if it's gonna be a slavery technology.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Be like the Pied Piper, right?
Yeah.
That's a fascinating story, the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
If you ever gotten into it. Um, okay, so you're gonna finish your masterwork by when?
By when? Oh, by 2037?
By 2030. All right,
It's a ways away, but,
we've got you on the record by
yeah,
2037.
yeah,
And
that's
so you have 12 years to
that's for the masterwork, the book, I think,
right, right.
but I'll be trying to produce things or it might just be when everything ends. Maybe I'll get something out sooner, but, I do have that year kind of circled as
2030.
something.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah,
Um, well, I can see where it could take that long because of everything that you would have to like pull together and have all these different connections and make them fit and flow and like that's not easy, man. Like
it's
that's not
very
easy. Yeah.
it's, I'm not it's might be impossible, it's almost impossible,
But
to weave all
that's what
this
we're
stuff
here
together.
for them, aren't we?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
To just dare the impossible.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. So people can find you over in your Substack,
Yep.
which I've linked to cryptocubrology.com. Support our friend Alex. And you can follow him on Twitter as well, or X, which is where I get a lot of his daily tweets. And thanks for coming back on here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's always a blast.
All right. We'll see
Anytime.
you. We'll see you after the next spate of celebrity passings
Yeah,
and
something.
the new numerological connection.
237th day of the year, that's the next one.
All right. All right. Take care, Alex.
Alright, bye-bye.
See you. All right. And oh, hey, look at this. All right, that's it for another edition of the Friday FARcast. I want to thank Alex from Kubrology, Crypto K. Check him out over there on Substack. At least get a subscribe if you want to support him financially so that he can continue this work. You can do that as well. And for me here, of course, True Hemp Science. You know what? I just found out fucking Greg Abbott just killed SB3. He just killed it. I was just looking at it online before we signed off here. So get your True Hemp Science products while you can. TrueHempScience.com, your one-stop shop for all things CBD. I got to tell you, I needed to sleep last night. Like, it was imperative. And the sleep gummies absolutely did the trick. And I've been a little wobbly for about the last week or so. And last night, after getting a good full night's sleep, uninterrupted, uninterrupted on the sleep gummies. I felt like a new man this morning. So go to truehempscience.com, check out everything they have to offer, and just type in 15MINS when you spend $100 or more, and you get a goodie bag. Probably get some of those sleep gummies. If you request them, hey, can you throw in a few sleep gummies? Or maybe you'll buy some. Maybe you'll get a few other gummies on the side, and maybe a vial of this and a vial of that. Anyway, it's an order within an order, and $150 always gets you free shipping. So there you go, truehempscience.com. And don't forget me, Robert Phoenix. I am an astrologer, and that's what I do for a living. If you're interested in a reading, well, you know where to go. The new website will be up after Mercury retrograde. All right, take care. Treat each other well. God bless. Love you all. Bye for now.